No. I betrayed them.
Let's jump. Cover me. I got you.
Come on!
It's over, Charles. You're finished. You're mine now.
You will never win.
And why is that?
Because you are alone. And I am not. Let go. Unleash your power. No fear.
In 3 seconds, those doors are going to open. And 20 guards will be here to shoot us.
I know. That's what I'm waiting for.
What are you doing?
I'm holding your neck so you don't get whiplash.
What?
Whiplash.
Welcome to the Mr. Screen channel. At many times, many fans wait for the meeting between the Avengers and the X-Men. For those who follow the comics, you know that in the events of Avengers Secret Wars, the conflict between the Avengers and the X-Men occurred. At some point, all of this will happen, but I will still bring you an interesting story where the crucial point is Magneto and Professor X trying to combat the threat against Dr. Doom Stark, end up ruining everything. Without further ado, let's get straight to the point. The threat of Doom. In the silent corridors of the Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters, a growing tension hung in the air. Since Thanos' defeat, the universe seemed to have entered a new era of uncertainty. But now a new threat emerged from the shadows. Victor Von Doom, the brilliant and ruthless ruler of Latveria, who had acquired forbidden knowledge and unprecedented power. He was moving between dimensions, manipulating realities, seeking to conquer all universes in his unbridled ambition. Charles Xavier, Professor X, was deeply troubled. The telepath's mind was filled with visions of destruction and chaos as he probed the minds of the world's heroes and villains. He knew that if Doom were to gain access to all the power he sought, the universe as they knew it would be doomed. However, Xavier knew that he needed powerful allies to face this threat. And it was at this moment that he turned to an old friend and, at the same time, an enemy, Eric Lensher Magneto. Xavier's proposal. At Magneto's secret refuge in Genosha, Charles Xavier appeared with his hoverchair, for an unusual visit. Magneto, the master of magnetism, was surveying the devastated horizon of his mutant nation, his face set like iron, but his eyes revealing a restless flame. "Charles," Magneto began without turning, "you do not come here without a purpose." "Eric," Xavier replied, his voice calm and steady, "you know about Doom. He's about to unleash a multiversal war that not even Thanos could have imagined." Magneto finally turned, his piercing eyes locking with Xavier. "And what do you suggest? That we join forces again to try to save a world that hates us?" "It's not just about this world, Eric. Doom is shaking the foundations of reality. He can warp time itself, space itself. If he gains complete control, there will be no more universes. Only chaos." Magneto crossed his arms, thoughtful. He knew Doom, respected his genius and power, but he also knew that a man with such limitless ambition needed to be stopped. "You want us to fight Doom, but how do you plan to do that?" Xavier took a deep breath, hesitating for a moment before revealing his plan. "We need to go further than anyone else. We're going to go back in time and steal the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos before Doom can interfere. With the stones, we can rearrange reality and prevent Doom from having any chance of success." Magneto raised an eyebrow. "Go back in time? And how do you intend to do that, Charles?" "With Cerebro," Xavier replied, his expression grave. "I have developed a technology combined with the powers of telepaths like myself that can allow us to access time. But I will need your help for it to work." The time jump in the following days, Magneto and Professor X prepared for the risky plan. Magneto accepted Xavier's proposal, aware of the power they would have in their hands. He knew that the universe was on the brink of collapse, and despite their differences, he and Charles had to work together once again. Magneto brought his own team of mutants, while Xavier summoned his most trusted X-Men. Cerebro, the telepathic machine that amplified Xavier's powers, was now equipped with an advanced system developed by Magneto. The goal was to use the electromagnetic field controlled by Magneto to stabilize temporal energy and allow his telepathic powers to focus on a specific point in time. The preparation was intense. Magneto manipulated the magnetic field around Cerebro, while Xavier delved into the deep layers of time. Their minds were connected in a way never before experienced, and together, they opened a portal to the past, the exact moment when Thanos obtained the Infinity Gauntlet. When the portal opened, Xavier and Magneto found themselves on the desolate planet of Vormir, where Thanos had just obtained the Soul Stone. It was the critical moment before Thanos gathered all the stones. "Now," Xavier said, his hands shaking with a mental strain of keeping the portal open. Magneto didn't hesitate. Using his power, he forged a magnetic armor around his body and advanced towards Thanos. The theft of the gauntlet. Thanos was focused on his mission, reflecting on the sacrifices he had made to get this far, when suddenly he felt a disturbing presence. Magneto appeared out of nowhere, his eyes glowing with determination and power. He released a massive magnetic wave that ripped the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos' hand before the Mad Titan could react. "Who dares challenge the Titan?" Thanos shouted, surprised and furious. "I am Magneto," Eric replied, his tone icy, "and this gauntlet now belongs to me." Thanos stood, his hands ready to fight, but Magneto, with the gauntlet in his hands, felt absolute power pulse through his body. The Infinity Stones began to glow, fueling his soul with a power beyond comprehension. Xavier, still holding the portal open, called to Magneto, "Eric, come back. We can't risk a confrontation." However, Magneto, holding the gauntlet, felt something different. He no longer wanted to simply steal Thanos' power. He wanted more. "Charles," he said in a dark voice, "do you understand what I can do with this? I can create a world where mutants are no longer hunted, where humans finally know their place. With this power, I can be the god of a new age." Xavier realized what was happening. Magneto was being corrupted by the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. Eric, no. This wasn't the plan, but Magneto was already lost in his own thoughts. With a flick of his hand, he used the Time Stone to freeze Thanos in place, rendering him powerless. With the gauntlet in his possession, Magneto felt invincible. The rise of a new god. Magneto, now endowed with godlike power, returned to the present with Xavier. But he was not the same man who left. With the power of the Infinity Stones, he saw an opportunity to shape the universe in his own image. The idea of a world where mutants were the dominant race consumed him. Xavier tried to dissuade him, but Magneto was far from persuaded. Why would you resist, Charles? This is the world we've always dreamed of, where mutants are free, where we are no longer persecuted. With a gauntlet, we can make it happen. Eric, this is not the way, Xavier insisted. You are being corrupted by power. The Infinity Stones were created to balance the universe, not to control it. But Magneto was no longer listening. He turned to the heavens, intent on rewriting reality. The stones began to glow brightly as Magneto prepared to create his new world. At that moment, Dr. Doom appeared, watching the chaos unfold. He had planned this opportunity from the beginning, manipulating events to lead Magneto to take control of the stones. Magneto, Doom said with a dark smile, "You're playing right into my hands." The final confrontation. Now, with Magneto in possession of the Infinity Gauntlet, the universe was on the brink of chaos. Doom, ever the calculating one, had foreseen that absolute power would corrupt anyone who tried to use the gauntlet for their own ends. He knew that Magneto, with his thirst for justice for mutants, will become a greater threat than Thanos ever was. The showdown between Magneto, now a near-god, and Doom, with his arcane and technological knowledge, became inevitable. Doom knew he had to take Magneto down before he destroyed all of reality in his quest for a new world. Meanwhile, Xavier, desperate, tried to invade Eric's mind to make him stop. But the powers of the Infinity Stones protected Magneto from any outside influence. Doom, Xavier, you cannot stop me, Magneto said, his voice reverberating through the cosmos. This is my destiny, the destiny of mutantkind. And with this power, no one can stand against me. But the power of the gauntlet continued to eat away at his mind. The rise of Magneto. With the Infinity Gauntlet glowing in his hand, Magneto hovered above the battlefield, emanating an almost godlike energy. Eric Lensher's mind, once focused on freeing mutantkind from oppression, was now consumed by the power of the stones. He looked upon the universe as a blank canvas that could be redrawn in his image. This will no longer be a world of humans and mutants, Magneto proclaimed to the heavens. This will be my world. A perfect world. Dr. Doom, ever cunning, stood in the shadows, watching intently. He knew that Magneto was on the verge of destroying himself with the power of the Infinity Stones. Doom had plotted all of this chaos, from the theft of the gauntlet to Magneto's rise. Doom's ultimate goal was simple. He hoped that, at some point, Magneto would become unstable enough that Doom could steal the gauntlet for himself. Professor X tried once more to enter Eric's mind, sensing that his old friend was still there, somewhere, trapped in the corruption of infinite power. But it was useless. The stones protected Magneto from any outside influence. Xavier began to realize that the only solution to save the universe was to defeat Magneto, something he never wanted to accept. Doom, Xavier shouted, turning to the ruler of Latveria. If you have a plan to stop him, now is the time. Doom smiled coldly. Charles, I always have a plan. Doom's trap. As Magneto manipulated reality around him, altering weather, space, and time, Doom prepared for his final move. He knew that Magneto, for all his skill, did not fully understand how the Infinity Stones worked. And Doom, with his vast arcane and scientific knowledge, was prepared to exploit this flaw. Using his armor and spells, Doom created a subtle trap, infused with magic and technology, to absorb the energy of the stones without Magneto noticing. Doom knew that while Magneto was distracted by his delusions of power, he could slowly drain the stone's power for himself. You think you can control the fate of us all, Eric? Doom muttered as his fingers danced invisible commands on his suit. But the true power is not in the stones. It is in the control of the one who holds them. The stones in the gauntlet began to gradually lose their glow as the energy flowed into Doom's hidden devices. Magneto, still absorbed in his grand vision, did not immediately notice. But Doom had another trick in mind. He knew he needed more time to complete his betrayal. So he did what Doom did best, manipulate his adversaries. Magneto, Doom said loudly, drawing the attention of the master of magnetism. You have the power to change everything, but there is one thing you cannot control. The force of time. Magneto looked at Doom, puzzled. You are bluffing, Doom. No, Eric, Doom replied, his voice filled with calculated confidence. I'm challenging you. If you are truly a god now, prove it. Change the past. We have prevented it from failing. Let me see what you can do with time. Magneto, driven by his vanity, accepted Doom's challenge. He raised the gauntlet and began to manipulate the time stone, attempting to reverse the events that had led mutants to persecution. He sought to recreate moments, destroy bloodlines of hatred, and rewrite the history of humanity. But while Magneto concentrated his power, Doom patiently accelerated his plan. Thanos in the Cancerverse. While all this was happening, in another reality, Thanos fought for survival. He had been cast by Doom into the Cancerverse, a chaotic and twisted dimension where death did not exist. Twisted beings and corrupted versions of heroes and villains roamed this endless reality, consumed by eternal madness. For Thanos, however, the Cancerverse was not just a prison, it was a test. He, the Mad Titan, who had transcended life and death, now had to survive in a place where death itself had been defeated. He faced demonic creatures, evil versions of the Avengers, and beings that fed on existence itself. But Thanos, with his indomitable strength and ruthless mind, managed to survive. More than that, he began to find ways to manipulate the chaotic energies of the Cancerverse, slowly regaining his strength. Each battle made him stronger. Each enemy defeated brought him closer to a solution to escape. He knew that Doom had sent him there not only to imprison him, but to ensure that he would not interfere with his plans in the main universe. Doom had underestimated, however, Thanos' true power, his sheer determination. As Magneto and Doom fought for control of the Infinity Stones, Thanos in the Cancerverse finally discovered a way to return. He harnessed the chaos around him, channeling the dark energies of that dimension, and opened a portal back to the main reality. The Titan returns. Just as Doom prepared to seize full control of the Infinity Stones, Thanos emerged from a rift in spacetime, his commanding presence sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Magneto, distracted, looked at the Titan in surprise. Thanos? How? Doom, for his part, saw Thanos' arrival as a setback, but also as an opportunity. He knew Thanos would want the stones back, and this could further destabilize Magneto, paving the way for Doom to complete his trap. Thanos stepped forward, his eyes glowing with fury. Doom, did you think you could imprison me? I am Thanos, the Eternal Titan. And no, I will destroy you all. The final battle between Thanos, Magneto with the Gauntlet, and Doom was about to begin.
She's bulletproof.
What happened to bulletproof?
It's bulletproof-ish!
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
Welcome to the Mr. Screen channel. After the battle against Thanos, many things unfolded. Those who follow the comics know that the course of the story is still a little different. With the absence of the Avengers, a group of anti-heroes was created, and then the Thunderbolts emerged. The story I'm going to tell you now is about connecting some of these dots. Without further ado, let's get straight to the point. The Game of Shadows. The Thunderbolts meeting. In a dark room, lit only by flashing screens with confidential information, the Thunderbolts gathered. The group, made up of reformed anti-heroes and villains, included the fearsome John Walker, the cunning Yelena Belova, and the manipulative Taskmaster. The leader of the group, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, had called them together to discuss a new mission that, according to her, could change the balance of power in the world. We need to act fast, Valentina began, her voice firm. Classified information indicates that a secret government facility is housing a powerful entity known as the Sentry. If we can free him, we'll have an advantage over the Avengers. Free a monster like him? What if everything goes wrong? Yelena asked, crossing her arms. If we follow the plan, there won't be any mistakes. And if it works, we'll get what we need, Walker replied confidently. After some discussion, the group agreed to move forward. What they didn't know was that they were being watched. The plan in action. The Thunderbolts infiltrated the facility, using each member's skills to avoid the security traps. Yelena and Taskmaster led the way, while Walker led the charge. Upon reaching the core of the facility, they found the cell that contained the Sentry, a colossal machine designed to eliminate any superpowered threat. Ready? Walker asked, pulling the lever that would release the Sentry. With a deafening noise, the cell doors opened. However, instead of a monstrous creature, a force field formed, surrounding the Sentry and revealing a deadly trap. The government trap. The room filled with light and energy, and a deep voice echoed. Welcome, Thunderbolts. You have fallen into the government's trap. The Sentry was designed to contain threats. Now you are the threats. Before they could react, a group of armed soldiers entered, arresting the Thunderbolts. The leader of the group, an agent named Graves, smiled sinisterly. "Did you think you were clever? The government is always one step ahead." Valentina, with a determined look on her face, shouted, "We will not be captured that easily." The Avengers' intervention. While the Thunderbolts fought their captors, Buck Barnes and Sam Wilson, the new Captains America, arrived on the scene. They had been alerted to the Thunderbolts' strange movements and decided to investigate. "It seems they're not just after the Sentinel, but they've gotten themselves into big trouble," Buck said, surveying the scene. "We need to intervene," Sam replied, his shield in hand. "Let's go." The two of them launched themselves into battle, trying to free the Thunderbolts. The ensuing fight was intense. Sam used his military training and flying skills, while Buck landed precise blows against the soldiers. The Sentinel's freedom. In the midst of the chaos, the energy released by the fight activated the Sentinel. He awakened, his gaze focusing on the humans around him. Without warning, the Sentinel fired a wave of energy, disintegrating the soldiers and making the room shake. "We need to stop this before it turns into a massacre," Yelena said, now free. "Oh." "He won't listen," Walker replied, but Valentina, with a plan in mind, shouted, "We need to make him understand that we are allies." With renewed determination, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers joined forces, trying to find a way to communicate with the Sentry. Internal conflicts. As the Sentry destroyed the facility, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers debated whether to try to tame him or fight him. Yelena and Buck clashed, with Yelena arguing that the Sentry was a tool of the government. "If the government created him, he's probably programmed to obey," Buck said, trying to calm her down. "Or he could be a weapon that needs to be destroyed," Yelena replied, looking at the Sentry, who was now about to launch a devastating attack. The unlikely alliance. In the confusion, Sam approached the Sentry, using his calm voice to try to establish a connection. "Sentry, we are not your enemies. We are here to stop more people from suffering." The Sentry hesitated, and the internal struggle within him began. With the chaos around him, Sam realized he had a chance. He shouted, "If you have a greater purpose, fight alongside us." Sam's words penetrated the Sentry's programming, which paused for a moment, absorbing the message. In a dramatic stroke, he turned his attention to the remaining soldiers, exterminating them with a blast of energy. The fight for freedom with the Sentry now alongside the Thunderbolts and the Avengers, the dynamics of the battle changed. Together, they faced the government army. The facility shook under the weight of the fighting, and finally, the government retreated, leaving the heroes victorious. "This was just the beginning," Valentina said, looking at the destruction around her. "They won't give up that easily." Buck and Sam, now unexpected allies, reflected on the fragility of the situation. "We need to find out what the government really has planned," Sam said. Revelations and conspiracies. After the battle, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers gathered to discuss what to do next. The Sentry, now free, remained by their side, still conflicted about his true nature. Valentina, realizing that the situation was deeper than it seemed, began to investigate the government's motives. "This was a trap to destabilize us. We need to dig deeper and find the real reason behind this." "And what will we do about the Sentry?" Yelena asked, looking at the powerful entity at her side. "He may be the key to defeating the government," Walker said with a strategic eye. The path ahead. With new alliances formed, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers prepared for the next phase of their fight. The Sentry, now an ally, was a symbol of hope and strength, but also a reminder of the complications that arose when heroes and villains teamed up. The group, more united than ever, set out to discover the truth behind the government's trap, determined to reverse the situation and protect not only themselves, but the world from a new threat that lurked in the shadows. And so the fight continued as a new chapter began to unfold, full of mysteries, intrigues, and challenges that would test the limits of each of them. The arrival of the Red Guardian. As the Thunderbolts and Avengers discussed their next actions, a familiar figure appeared from the shadows of the facility. The Red Guardian, also known as Alexei Shostakov, had arrived to help Yelena at a critical moment. "I thought you could use a push," he said, with a confident smile that offset his worn appearance. "Alexei, what are you doing here?" Yelena exclaimed, surprised and relieved at the same time. "I couldn't leave my little girl in trouble. And from what I can see, you have bigger problems than you thought," he replied, eyeing the Sentinel who was now accompanying them. The family connection. The Red Guardian, with his training and superhuman strength, immediately joined the battle alongside the Thunderbolts. He stood out, using his skills to combat the remaining soldiers who were still trying to retake control of the facility. "I just hope you didn't get into any more trouble, Yelena," he joked, as he knocked down a soldier with a powerful punch. "It wasn't my idea, Alexei. This was all a government plan," she replied as she fought alongside him. The connection between them was clear, and the fight seemed to rekindle a long-absent bond of camaraderie. S.H.I.E.L.D. intervention. However, as the battle raged, S.H.I.E.L.D. had received alerts about anomalous activity at the facility. A reconnaissance helicopter flew overhead, and soon a team of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents descended to investigate the situation. "We need to contain them before this gets out of hand," said an agent named Mitchell, coordinating the operation. Upon noticing S.H.I.E.L.D.'s arrival, the Thunderbolts prepared for what could be a new battle. But surprisingly, the S.H.I.E.L.D. team had no intention of joining the fight. They were here to capture the Red Guardian. The Guardian's sacrifice. As S.H.I.E.L.D. sprang into action, the Thunderbolts and Red Guardian quickly realized that Alexei was in danger. He fought valiantly, but the agents were too numerous and well-trained. "Yelena, you need to get out of here," Alexei shouted as he stepped between her and the agents. "No, I won't leave you," Yelena protested, but he pushed her back. "I am the Red Guardian. My priority is to protect you." He fought off several agents, but was soon surrounded and restrained in special S.H.I.E.L.D. handcuffs designed to restrain superhumans. "Alexei, no!" Yelena screamed, her emotions running high as she watched her mentor being captured. The clash of loyalties. The Thunderbolts and the Avengers stood frozen, unable to act as S.H.I.E.L.D. took Red Guardian into custody. Buck and Sam exchanged worried glances, realizing that the situation was getting complicated. "We need to do something," Buck said, his protective instincts kicking in. "We can't let this go on like this. But if we get into conflict with S.H.I.E.L.D., it will only make everything worse," Sam replied, trying to find a solution. While they were arguing, Valentina seized the opportunity. "We need a strategy. If S.H.I.E.L.D. is behind us, maybe we can find out what they really plan." The investigation begins. With Red Guardian now in custody, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers teamed up to investigate S.H.I.E.L.D.'s operation and find out what they were hiding. Yelena was determined to rescue Alexei and would not rest until that happened. "He has protected me on many occasions. Now it's my turn to protect him," Yelena said with determination. The two groups decided to work together in secret, gathering information on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s recent activities and seeking allies who could help them in their mission. The conspiracy revealed. As they investigated, they discovered that S.H.I.E.L.D. was conducting clandestine experiments, using the powers of captured superhumans to create mind control weapons. The revelation left everyone in shock. "Are they really willing to go this far?" Walker asked, horrified. "We need to warn Alexei and figure out how to stop them before they become a bigger problem," Yelena stated, the determination in her eyes reflecting her internal struggle. The rescue plan. With their plan in mind, the group decided to rescue the Red Guardian before S.H.I.E.L.D. could execute their plans. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face any challenge that came their way. Valentina devised an infiltration plan, utilizing the unique abilities of each member of the group. They prepared for the mission, aware of the risks, but determined to bring Alexei back. The rescue. On the night of the operation, the team infiltrated the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility where Alexei was being held. With the help of the Sentry, they managed to disable the security cameras and advance to the cell where the Red Guardian was being held. "We're almost there," Buck whispered as they approached the door. However, when they opened the door, they discovered that Alexei was not alone. He was being held under the supervision of a senior S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, who immediately raised the alarm. "Quick, get him!" Yelena shouted as chaos ensued. The final showdown. A fierce battle ensued, with the Thunderbolts and Avengers fighting off S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and trying to protect Alexei. The Sentry, in his gargantuan form, did a good job of keeping the agents at bay, but they needed to act quickly. "Alexei, come. We're here to help you," Yelena shouted as she fought alongside Buck. "I knew you'd come," Alexei replied as he joined the fight, still strong despite his capture. With a combination of skills, the team managed to defeat the agents and free the Red Guardian. The path ahead. After their successful escape, the group gathered to discuss their next steps. They had taken on S.H.I.E.L.D., but the fight was far from over. "We need to make sure S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't recover and start operating again," Valentina said, looking at the group. "We need to figure out how to stop them from doing so." and we need to find a way to regain people's trust. We're seen as villains, but we're fighting for what's right, Sam replied. Yelena, now more determined than ever, looked at her adoptive father. I won't let Alexei or anyone else be used as a weapon again. We're going to fight for them, a new alliance. With the Red Guardian back and a new purpose in mind, the Thunderbolts and the Avengers joined forces to become a force to be reckoned with. They vowed to protect the innocent and fight against any threat, be it villains or corrupt governments. Thus, a new era began for the Thunderbolts and the Avengers, where the lines between heroes and villains became even more blurred, but the determination to fight for justice remained strong. They were ready to face whatever the future held for them together. And that was our story for today. What did you think of all this? Click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Until next time, bye.